Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of BellyUpSports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
We'll go right into the groups. So, in Group A, we have France, USA, Guinea, and New Zealand. Yeah, this is just, I'm just going to say this is just bullshit.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck, everybody. Yeah, because this France team is still pretty nice. Like, even without an Mbappe, without a Camavinga, without... I'm not going to list all these names. There's way too many names. But, I mean, this team is still pretty much loaded. And I think it's going to be a pretty tough team to face off against. I think France has done very well throughout the system to keep the same ideology, which is something that I think it's crazy that not many national teams have thought of. But here we are. And USA so I'm guessing we're all on the same page here that we think France is going to come out on top of this group.
Yeah.
Yeah, without trying to be overly optimistic, yes. Tuesday's the game. Tuesday's when they play each other, right? So, like, we'll find out, in just a couple of days' time, like whether or not USA can hang with this team. But the expectation for Thierry Henry's men is very, very high. Very high.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to second place, we got USA, Guinea, and New Zealand. Like I said, unfortunately, New Zealand is in this group. Guinea, I think, is going to be a lot tougher than people think it's going to be, which is what kind of scares me when it comes to the U.S. And I think it doesn't help right now that the U.S. doesn't necessarily have an identity. And I think, I don't know, am I being pessimistic right now with the U.S. or
Nope.
No?
No, I think it's safe to say it's probably the scariest situation for this youth setup with the U.S. men's national team to be in right now, where you're in between managers. We all called for it. It doesn't surprise anybody. But you're also going into a home World Cup where there will be players from this squad in that World Cup team potentially. So the question becomes, how can they perform now to show themselves for that World Cup? I hate to say it's going to be a warm-up for these U23 players, but it might just be an audition for what is the World Cup team in 2 years. I mean, so it sucks, but good luck everybody on that team, because it's
like if you're Mitrovic right now, like what are you doing? Like, because it's not like you don't have to follow Berhalter ball, right? You're free to do what you want, what you need to do. But do you guys feel that Mitrovic could be the guy that can put this team in the right place to jump over a Guinea?
I think he'll benefit from playing France first.
Yeah.
That I really do. Like, we'll get a great litmus test for what this team can do by playing the toughest team in the group immediately. And maybe it just gives us a sense of what adjustments they'll have to make for those next two teams and how they can meaningfully get out of the group. I don't see a scenario where they win that opening game, but I guess if they were, then the expectation raises even higher, right? Like, okay, well, then we should expect them to potentially win this group now, having taken down the best team. But it's never that straightforward. So tournament play, every game matters, every inch matters. But I think they do benefit quite a bit by playing the toughest team in the group available first.
Yeah, I think this is also a situation where you ask what he's going to do. I think you just let players play, and I don't mean that in just let them go out there and have fun. I mean, use what these players are good at. Simply put, the U.S., and I've said this before, Jose, you've been here for me to say this. I think the U.S. team, in the grand scheme of the world and national teams, what they lack for in technique, they make up for in athleticism. And let them use that. Let them abuse that. And as much as we praise France, sometimes in their youth setup, they get a little too set on tactics and skill on the ball rather than athleticism to go with it. And so there is a chance to potentially maybe make an upset in the game one. I'm not going to count on that. It's a very far chance. But for the rest of the tournament, you kind of have to use that to your advantage. Let your tacticians, let your on-ball playmakers, let them handle all of that. But you let your athletes just wreak havoc down the sides of that field and just see what happens. Because something's going to happen in the U setup. U23 teams are not Barcelona and Real Madrid. They're not tactically sound. That's as much as I like to praise some of them for being that way. Not all of them are. So just if you're Mitrovic, you just have to kind of let it happen and see what happens. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not to be give you a long-term job potentially, but at the very least, you're going to have fun while you're doing it.
Big facts. Yeah. I think just to reinforce that, just play to win, and playing to win doesn't mean keeping the same identity the entire time. If you're losing, adjust. If they're beating you in a certain part of the pitch, adjust. And that may mean trying to play less technically sound football and just be pragmatic, right? Like go at them physically, play more balls over the top, be more direct, whatever it really takes, but show that the results matters more than how we play the game, at least for some of these tournaments.
Or that you tried hard. I hate to say it,
at least you tried.
Moral victory right now could be the case in certain situations where at least it's going against France. Like, just show there's a soul to that team where you don't need a manager from the adult setup to matter for your U23 setup.
I agree with that. I think obviously France is going to be winning this group, but the team coming in second. Anybody here to see the U.S. being that second place team?
Yeah, why not? I'll be the one to say it.
I can. I think it's very realistic. But the team hasn't been here since 2008.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to consider, right? Is like that's the downside to this is that all of our men's players have only been getting experience through the senior side if they're playing internationally. The U20 setup is different too, for a number of reasons with the youth national team. But yeah, I think that there is a downside to how we're building our expectations up for the performances we're about to see. But at the same time, I think we can all say we expect them to get out of the group.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a little disappointing in some sense that we aren't calling up the guys that are U23 eligible from our senior team. I think that was a missed opportunity. So that's where I'm kind of like, I wish. I mean, and also obviously it also comes back to the clubs. The clubs have to be willing to let their player go from competing Copa America and then come into compete in the Olympics. And so that's also another issue. But I mean, Julian Alvarez just did this, is doing this right now. And we can even say the same thing for Fermin Lopez, which, maybe some people can say it's a different situation. But I feel like the U.S., if they really are trying to make a statement, they need to try to take advantage of this opportunity because even though this isn't a FIFA sanctioned tournament, it's still an opportunity to grow chemistry. It's still an opportunity to grow, figure out what this team is capable of, and these players as well. So I think for me, it's a missed opportunity. But I think that the players that we do have featuring on this team, minus Diego Luna, who I would have preferred to have seen in this group as well. I feel like this is still a really good group of players. I think Walker Zimmerman against some U23 players could be not that bad. Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman are still going to be a sturdy back line, so I'm fine with that. I can't wait to see Caleb Wiley, but yeah, I see USA coming in second.
Yeah, it's interesting though because it's not like these players for the U.S. team you just mentioned that aren't getting called in. It's like they had a long summer of tournaments. They played for 2 weeks, if that, and you might even question whether they actually played a full 90 minutes in some of their cases. But I think that's part of why they're not being called in. Is there's so many questions about their mentality that this is a situation where you just can be like, all right, well, let's show the next manager of the U.S. men's national team what the up and coming players are going to look like. And I think that's what this is for the U.S. is it really is just down to you got to show that heart at the end of the day, show that you understand what it means to wear the red, white, and blue on your chest. While it's not going to be the same badge that the full senior team wears, it doesn't matter. It's still the red, white, and blue. Let's see what you can do with it on your chest because that's all that matters for the next manager of the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah. So we got all right. So that's Group A, France and USA. I think that's the consensus at this point. Group B, we have Argentina, Morocco, Iraq, and Ukraine. I feel like this is pretty straightforward with Argentina and Morocco. Any
Is it?
Any arguments here?
No.
I think Iraq could be interesting. Just for a number of reasons that don't necessarily tie back to the national team or to the senior national team. Although, if our good friend Xiaoyan was here, he'd probably build up a lot of hype for, I guess, maybe some of the youngsters coming through. But at the end of the day, I think it's Argentina and insert team. I really do. Like, I do think that like there's going to be a lot of competition for that second spot. I don't know if it's as straightforward as giving it to Morocco, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got it. So I don't know. I might be sneaky here and say Iraq.
Like on paper, it should be Morocco, right? Like on paper, it tells me that the team that has the guy that plays for PSG should be the team that wins. Unfortunately, games aren't played on paper. It's going to determine, how
Kelcey,
good does this team
you did
attack?
mention it. Most of these guys play on the same team, on the same club team.
I know, and it's I'm saving that wild card for another group. But no, I think it's going to come down to that head-to-head match for Morocco and Iraq, and also I think it's going to play a little bit into how does each team perform against Ukraine? Because if there's one of the teams gets surprised by the Ukraine, then that's an issue, and I wouldn't be surprised if that team is Morocco, if I'm being honest. That gets surprised. So yeah, Iraq might be a 45% choice for me, but 55 is going to go still to Morocco.
Okay. I mean, I'm with Argentina and Morocco. But I do love the potential upset with Iraq coming in there, though. I think that's a good shout by Jose. Group C, we have Uzbekistan, Spain, Egypt, and the Dominican Republic. I mean, I'm guessing Spain is once again the name that we're all thinking of as far as the group winner.
Should be. I mean, there's more than a few players in there that can play on the senior side. So let's be honest. And that's not even being unfair to the rest of the teams. That's just these are guys that probably had even by De La Fuente and all of his staff probably even got, like I said, a lot of looks for the senior team who just won the Euros. So Spain, in my opinion, has to be the winner. But I kind of hyped up Uzbekistan already. I'm not going to repeat myself. I kind of think that there's a lot of just, I don't know, inherent chemistry with that team. And like you said, Hector, there's a lot of guys who already have senior minutes. And so a lot of fans might sleep on them because they don't watch maybe international tournaments like the Asian Cup, but I feel like they might be my second team.
I'm actually with you right there. I am with Uzbekistan. I don't know about, there's just a lot of questions with Egypt for me. And I'm sorry to sorry, Xavier. I know I should probably believe in you. But I've also seen your guys' results. But I love you though. I love you like a brother. But yeah, no, I mean, I think Dominican Republic could be a fun team. I think they could surprise some people. But I think Uzbekistan sturdy. I think it's a lot of chemistry there, and that's an important thing when it comes to tournaments.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah. I just said I was going to save it for a later group for this the team that's been together forever. Yeah, here it is. Uzbekistan, the number 2 in this group for sure. I just had to make sure they weren't playing Spain in their last group stage, just in case they might be able to sneak that first place out of the group. But no, they play Spain first as well, so that's not happening. Sorry, Uzbekistan.
Spain's coming. They're coming out swinging. Yeah, Spain's coming out for all of it in that first game.
Yeah. Hey man, I mean, they've already dominated the Women's World Cup. I know people forget about that. They just won the Euro. Why not keep this train going for them? So
that's a battle of consecutive champions in their own leagues with Spain and Argentina at this point in time. It feels like.
I mean, Real Madrid also won the Champions League. It's just everything's pointing Spain, man. It's crazy. And then we got Group D. We got Japan, Paraguay, Mali, and Israel. Probably the most interesting. This is my group to watch, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. This is my group to watch because it's so open. And it's so interesting because I wonder, does Japan not having an overage a single overage player, does that hinder them when they go up against teams that do have an overage player and have probably a little bit more senior experience than the others?
It depends on the team. Like, it really does. It depends on who they're playing, who those overage players are. On the opposite end of that spectrum, doesn't the maybe the principles they have or this idea they have that they don't necessarily need the overage players. I don't know. That to me, that's kind of scary, right? When you think about a team, just it's got these vibes from like 2000. When did Germany win the Confederations Cup with their B team? Was that
That was
2000?
that was the last Confederations Cup.
Yeah, that was the final one under Yogi Love. That might have been, was it before they
2013?
Yes, before they won it in 2014. It's got those kind of vibes, right? Where it's like, you know, the world didn't know what to expect, but the manager and the team were so confident in how they wanted to approach that little mini tournament in the Confederations Cup. Brought a B squad, right? Not even the team they'd be facing in the World Cup in a year's time. It still won the damn thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen here, but there's something in there, right? That they have to have some type of confidence in the player pool that they have to feel like it's not going to be a huge loss for them. So I don't know, man. I feel like Japan and Mali are my teams to watch. Nothing against Paraguay. You know, I think that they've done a really good job over the course of their history qualifying for tournaments, 100%. Maybe not so much in recent years, but I still feel like there's just too many under the radar players to watch from some of these other countries in this group. I'm going with Japan and Mali for this one.
I'm a flip. I'm gonna go with Mali and Japan.
That's fair.
Man, and here I was thinking I was going to make a splash by saying Mali and Japan is my choice. All right. Well, yeah, I think we just all hit the nail.
Ball knowledge, bro. Our ball knowledge is supreme.
Yeah. I think Japan is a really scary team to go up against because it's a quiet confidence with them. It returns a little bit of the old one nation, one flag, one team situation, if to borrow the old US's mantra. But Japan really kind of started that whole idea and then obviously broke away from it in the mid 2000s. But now you have a team that from the start they're going to be, a pain. But that Mali team, man, so much creativity, so much talent that could be there long term in football for a while to watch. That I'm going to think they're going to surprise Japan, at least themselves. I don't think Paraguay has enough, and Israel, tactically maybe good, talent on the field though, I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to go Mali and Japan for my top two.